Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about a helpful step that you can take to make your pages more accessible. And that is ensuring that you have the proper headings set up. Now the question is, why does this make it so that your pages are more accessible? Well, what headings do is they provide a structure that will allow screen reading programs to be able to provide their users with a navigation. Looking at this page over here, this is an example of a page that has been set up with the proper headings. As an example here, we highlight over this and we see that the title of the page has been set to heading 1. Now, when you're going in and you're creating a page and you're setting up headings, as a general rule, you're going to want to go in order. And we see that we have different options for that here. After this first section on the page, we notice that we have another heading. And if we highlight over this, we see that this is set up as heading 2. Another way to think of headings is thinking of when you wrote a paper. When we write a paper, sometimes we'll go ahead and write out an outline. And setting up headings is very, very similar. Moving further down the page, we see another heading here. We see science and engineering. So this heading is actually underneath programs offered, which in turn is underneath this first heading over here. Let's go ahead and take a closer look and see the steps involved with setting up headings on our page. Looking at this page, we do see that there's definitely some formatting that could be fixed to make the page more accessible. And the great thing about the page editor is it makes it very easy to do just that. Let's start with this text here. So this would be like the title for the page. Looking at this here, to set up the proper heading, what I do is I just highlight over this, and I just go to the drop-down menu, and keeping in mind that I want to go in order, I'm going to set this here to be heading 1. And once I do that, I'm just going to remove the underline. It's really not necessary, and make it so that the text is not bold. It is important to note, when formatting a page, we do want to avoid making text bold or underlined instead of setting the headings, just because when we do that, we're not making it so that the text is accessible. Now, keeping in mind that we want to go in order, we have another section here. And remember, in a lot of respects, we're ranking the text. So keeping in mind that we're ranking the text, and it's kind of like a hierarchy, if you will, I ask myself, is the content in this area here on the same hierarchy as this content? Keep in mind that this content isn't. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to set this to be heading 2. So essentially, the content in this area would fall under attendance. Now, we have subsections to attendance here. So in this case, what I'm going to do, keeping in mind I want to go in order, and keeping in mind that this is on a different hierarchy compared to this content here, I'm going to go in and set this here to be heading 3. And I'll also do the same here for unexcused absences. As I'm doing this here, as we see, going in order is not something that's absolute. In this case here, we have 2 heading 3s. Continuing on down the page, we also see that we have a section here for academic integrity. So in this case, this would be on the same hierarchy as attendance. So this would be also set to be heading 2. And that's something we're going to generally want to do on the page. So we want to ask ourselves, as we're going in and as we're setting up the headings, is that content on the same hierarchy as the previous content? Now in this case here, this goes under academic integrity. So in this case, just like unexcused tardies and absences, I'm going to also set this here to heading 3. Just by going in and setting up headings, we've taken a great step to ensure that our page is accessible.